is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Brandon's Face. It's based off our names. It's the podcast about a playlist. Yes. My name's Jonathan Beardsley. And as always, I'm joined by the one and only Brandon May. Brandon, thank you so much for showing me Kroll Show, because I bought season 1 the other day, and I am loving rediscovering that one, man. You showed me that and Burning Love, which ended up being 2 of my favorite shows of all time. So I owe you a lifetime of things.
Honestly, man, I've met so many people that don't like the Kroll Show, and I hardcore judge them, because it's like that is peak comedy, man. There are so many good lines in that.
Oh my God. Beyond publicity, comedy. Man. I mean, they just need to go to LA Deli and have
LA Deli.
Some lunch,
LA
Deli. All right, man. In case you guys couldn't tell, this is actually a podcast about music.
It is.
Nick Kroll, please come on the pod. Before we get into this week's podcast, we're calling this week Brandon's Birthday Extravaganza, because Brandon just recently celebrated his birthday. Happy birthday, Brandon.
Yay, thank you.
Woo! But before we get into this week's podcast, we want to say, if this is your first time listening, please like, follow, subscribe. You can find us on social media. Find us on our own website, brandonsface.com. But please check the show notes and be sure to follow along with our weekly rotating playlist if you haven't already. There's going to be some really good stuff on there this month, including Willow, The Wonder Years, Craig David, Freddie Gibbs, Slipknot, Tycho, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Definitely tune into that.
Yep.
With that out of the way, let's get into this, man.
Let's do it.
First up, we have a new one from K5 called Take Me High. This one is interesting. I feel like I'm getting a little more of a Swedish house vibe from it than a K5 vibe, but I don't even know if we know what a K5 vibe is yet. So it doesn't really sound like deadmau5 or Cascade to me. What do you think?
I actually will disagree with you to a point. I agree with you, but I do hear both of the elements of Cascade and the Mouse. I hear what you're saying, though. You're getting this kind of old school big room house kind of vibe with that bass line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that. I think it kind of took me back a little bit. I heard some sounds I haven't heard since I was at a rave in 2012, you know? I thought that this was a fucking banger, bro.
Yeah, it's a banger. It's a throwback. And I'm not going to say we know what this project sounds like. I kind of like that they threw us a left turn here. It's not all going to be Remember Me's, we're going to get some different stuff. So I like it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's an EP, or have they announced it's an album yet? I want to say something.
I honestly have no idea.
I'll look into it, but I'm excited for it nonetheless.
Me too, buddy. Next up, we got a new one from Boys Noize and Skream called Trip. This one it's really messy, but that's kind of expected given the 2 styles that are being meshed together on this track. But I think it's a really fun club song. What do you think?
I fucking loved this, bro. I think that Skream and Boys Noize both collaborating together kind of cements Boys Noize as a classic, right?
I agree.
Yeah, I really liked this one, man. I don't think I heard much of either of them, but I heard a lot of both of them. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And if anybody has not seen it before, Skream's self-titled album cover from 2006 is maybe my favorite album cover of all time. Just him sweaty against the wall of that house party is iconic. I love that so much. Glad he's back, man. I don't know if he ever went away, but I think for people in your and I's era of raving, the In for the Kill Skream remix is essential listening.
Oh my God. Didn't he? I'm pretty sure he just played the Dulab this year at the Coachella Music Festival.
That's right. With Zoe Deschanel.
Yes.
That's right. All right, man. Next up, we got a new one from Fred again. This one's called Danielle, Smile on My Face. I'm a little torn on this one. I like the propulsive and punchy beat, but the track feels more like a rework of Nice to Have by 070 Shake than a new original Fred Again song. which is what I've been waiting to hear since this Boiler Room set.
Right.
However, we won't have to wait much longer because his new album, Actual Life 3, is scheduled to drop October 28th. Did this get you any more excited for that?
You know, I think like you, I was expecting a little bit more energy out of him since we saw that Boiler Room set, but you have to kind of think that he probably recorded these before, or recorded probably the entire album before he did the Boiler Room set. Like maybe he didn't. I don't know.
No. So the album, he puts the dates that these were recorded from in the album title. Actual Life 3 is January 1st, 2022 through September 9th. He finished this literally like 12 days ago. So
interesting.
It's some of it's going to be fresh. He released the track list, but there's no features. We have no idea if any of the songs from that Boiler Room set are the songs on this album. One would hope. I think that would be a pretty big miss to not drop any of that. But Jungle's not on there. Turn Off the Lights isn't on there. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Interesting.
We got to get one of those Skrillex Fortet mixes, dude.
Right?
Like, one of them. Come on,
at
man.
least one of them. Yeah. I liked this song, but I wanted a little bit more energy. It feels like a little bit more of the same. I remember when everybody was freaking out about his Coachella set, that I went back and listened to Actual Life 1 and 2, and I don't remember being very impressed. I know that his Boiler Room set is probably set to be one of the most iconic Boiler Rooms in a long time, but I don't remember being like, this is life-changing house music. And this just kind of reminded me of that. So I am still excited for Actual Life 3, and we'll see where it takes him.
Well said, buddy. We will see. All right, next up, we got a new one from Dylan Francis as DJ Hanzel called Make Me Feel. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
My thoughts are that I got to go Von Deepa on my birthday, which was a fun surprise.
I did it just for that.
I think this is a good track, man. It's more of the Dylan Francis that I like, and I have to say that I'm very happy I got to see DJ Hanzel back in, I think 2014 was when he did it.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. He did the first, like, I want to say 40 minutes of his set as Dylan Francis, and then all of a sudden everything went fucking dark, and then DJ Hanzel comes up on the screen with his stupid fucking glasses. He goes, "Let's go Von Deepa," and just proceeded to just decimate the crowd. It was great.
Of course. You said what, 2014? I cannot believe that this bit is still going in 2022. Like, it's not unusual for a DJ to have an alias that they keep, but this is not an alias. This is a bit.
No, you're totally right, man.
Like, it's funny, man. But like you said, I think this is, no matter what the name is, this is probably one of my I enjoyed this more than a lot of his other newer Dylan Francis releases. So
yes,
I think that says something.
Me too.
Man, we were saying the other week about, did he ever really have a great album, or Money Sucks was the best album? I don't think his best period was an album. I think it was the Without You Messages like single run that he went on there.
Yeah.
That's peak Francis for me.
That's pretty good. I don't know, man. Master Blasta and that kind of era of, I think it was 2011, 2012, that just kind of like...
That's the ascension. That's the ascension.
It'll always be special, man. It'll always be special.
It will be. All right, let's move into some spooky synthcore. We got a new one from Boy Harsher called Burn It Down. This one scared me, man. I can see why they're playing with Elfman on Halloween.
Right?
It's a good song. It's very gloomy, though. What are your thoughts on it?
That seems to happen a lot, man. We talk about an artist the week before, and then all of a sudden we get a surprise single. I liked it. It was spooky.
Yeah. Well put. Perfectly timed release for this.
Yeah, it was good.
All right. Next up, we got a new one from Bazzi and Cordae called Only Fan. I've heard Bazzi a few times, but I mostly threw this one on here because of the Cordae feature. And to be honest, it's weird hearing him on a straight pop song like this, and I'm not really a fan of it. What did you think?
It feels like Foster the People song with Cordae rapping over it, which is just a weird sensation to get through. And I get that, you know, it's a pop song and you want to add some pop sensibility, and you know, Post Malone does the auto-tune on the pop shit, so Cordae's got to do it, but like it was noticeable to me, and I don't think it really fits with his voice. I mean, it's an enjoyable pop song for like what it is. I'm not mad at it, but I didn't. This isn't my favorite release from him. I've never heard of Bazzi.
You've probably heard like his big pop. He has like a giant pop single from like 4 or 5 years ago that was all over the
Got
radio and shit. It's irrelevant, but
it.
this song, I think I added. I was like, oh, Cordae, like on a pretty. I think Bazzi's probably in the top 400 in the world in terms of streaming numbers. He's like a very big artist, but first words out of Cordae's mouth are "I fucked your best friend. I just thought maybe you should know." It's like charming, dude. Really charming.
Yeah,
Nice.
I did not enjoy that.
Aren't you dating like a very wholesome tennis star? Like, why are you rapping like this? Something
Wow.
needs to happen.
I'm really out of the loop, man. Bazzi is number 363rd in the world.
What's the top song?
He's got 20,
Mine.
14 million listeners. I don't know. I don't know.
You've
if I've
heard
ever
the
it.
song "Mine" before. I guarantee. I guarantee you've heard it, but you really don't need to. It's probably playing in a Walgreens somewhere right now. Whatever happened to that band that sang "Hey Soul Sister"? You think that's anybody's favorite song?
No, it can't be, right? It was everywhere, man.
What if it? I want to find the yearbook where somebody just on a bad day put that as their favorite song. All right, man, let's move on.
God.
We got a new one from Easy Life and Gus Daperton called "ANTIFREEZE." I've really enjoyed all the singles they've released for this new album so far, and this one's no different, man. Gus sounds great on it. What'd you think?
You know, Easy Life, we reviewed Easy Life's album, I think, last year, and I remember being like kind of weird about it. But this one's really good, man. I've really liked all of the singles so far, and this one hit. So
Yeah, I agree. That album wasn't great. I'm a little bummed that they kind of have released all of the features as singles, but then on the other hand, I'm like, maybe that's what the features are for. Yeah.
Hey, there you go. I like that.
All right, let's move on to this weekly BENEE feature. This track is by Jeremy Zucker. It's called "I'm So Happy." It's a good song. BENEE's on it, so it was a given I would add it. What did you think of this?
BENEE really kills this one, man. I don't know who Jeremy Zucker is, but he's got a great voice, and this song is good.
Dude, BENEE is great. The algorithm has thrown a bunch of like her old Triple J live in studio things on my YouTube recently, and her voice is just fucking phenomenal, man. Love it. Speaking of phenomenal voices, though, we got a new one from this Arriza guy and Gallant called Appalachia. You know that Gallant is my favorite army artist in the world, so you already know that I'm absolutely in love with this. The falsetto he hits at the end of it's perfect. I don't think I've ever heard him on a Spanish song. I've heard him on like Korean songs before. So this one's a bit new for me, but it's also like the JIT effect. Like, do you really just want to get outsung on your own track like this? But I think it's really good, man. What did you think of this? It's a little different.
Gallant's voice is obviously fucking pristine, but I loved the Spanish elements and the strings that like kind of tease you with them and then go away forever. God, the song is beautiful, man.
Yeah, they really killed it.
Yeah, I really like this one.
I would love to hear Gallant sing in Spanish. I was kind of hoping he would try it. Maybe he did. Maybe I just didn't hear it. But
I think he might have. I think he might have. I listened to this one again today. I think I heard Gallant sing in some Spanish. I'm not sure if he speaks Spanish, but I think I heard it. I don't think it was Arriza.
Well, it's good that I will be listening to it every day for the rest of the year. So I'll let you know.
There you go.
All right, man. Next up, we got a new one from Babyface and Queen Naija called "Game Over," from his confusingly like great upcoming R&B album. I don't know what the hell to make of this. I was like not expecting this to be good when it was announced. I didn't know the concept was him collaborating with all of these modern female artists, but man, every single has been really good. What are your thoughts on this one?
This one has a fucking classic feel to it. Clearly Babyface has upped his production level, and maybe not upped it. Maybe I'm just now noticing how good of a producer he is. But man, this is great, dude. It's great.
He's always been a great producer. He's been a really good singer, but I really do appreciate that he's taking the back seat in all of these songs. He's not trying to like capitalize on their momentum at all. He's giving them the spotlight, which I think is cool.
I think he's probably producing for them and calling it his, and maybe giving some people a platform. I like it.
Yep. Yep. All right. Keeping things in the R&B realm for a while, we got a new one from Craig David, Galantis, and Mike Brainchild called DNA Part 2. I did not add Part 1 because when it dropped a few weeks ago, I figured we'd just review the album in a few weeks, and it was just one of his standard pop EDM tracks. I liked it, but it could definitely wait. But then he drops this, which is just the most pure R&B song he's maybe dropped in 15 fucking years. So I had to throw it on here. I obviously love this.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, he killed it, man. I hope there's more of this on the album, but honestly, if this is the only like pure R&B song we get, I'm happy that he just gave us this. Like, this is all I've wanted. This is it.
Yeah, this is good. I still like Craig David's EDM shit. So
I do too. I do too, man. He's got such like a positivity about him that it's impossible to hate on him. He's literally Powerline. Like, that's what Craig David.
That's why you love Craig David so
much. Yeah.
Oh,
totally. He is the embodiment of what Powerline is to me. Like, I think if Powerline was a real person, he would be Craig David. No shade to Tevin Campbell. Tevin Campbell is phenomenal. It's Powerline, but he doesn't physically embody it the same way. All right, man. Let's move on to this new one from Kelela called Washed Away. I don't know if you've seen the internet buzzing about this one, but she's kind of an underground phenom in the R&B realm. This is her first new song in 5 years. I'm happy she's back, but this one feels more like an intro to a new album than a new single. Her style of R&B has always been really ethereal, but this one a lot more so than I'm used to. I'm excited to hear where this is going, though. If any of our listeners enjoyed this track or her voice, I highly recommend her albums Take Me Apart and Hallucinogen. They have kick drum, I promise. But we'll definitely be reviewing whatever new project she's gearing up to release. What were your thoughts on what you could make of this?
My notes are, is this experimental avant-garde R&B? That's neat.
Yeah.
those are my notes. I could tell. I agree with you. I think this is probably something like an intro to something. Be an intro. And honestly, I would love that if a band did that, or another artist did that.
I mean, Royksop did it this year.
They sure did. They sure did. Yeah. And I fucking loved it. And I love that, where it's kind of like, here's a teaser. Wait for the album. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I respect it. It was an interesting play. I wasn't expecting it. She's very, very creative, though. One of the music videos for her last album, it's just like this kind of R&B love story, but the whole thing is in Sims graphics. Dude, it's
incredible, bro.
It's incredible, dude. Yeah, I'll send you the link for that to throw in the show notes after this one.
Please do.
Okay. All right, man. Next up, we got a new one from Kiana Lede called Irresponsible. We haven't talked about her since she released a song last year called FUCK, Friend You Can Keep. It was a clever little R&B song. It was fun. But like I said, haven't heard much from her since. This is a hell of a return, man. She sounds great. It's kind of an understated song, but I think the beat's phenomenal, and I think it's a winner in my book. But what did you think of it?
This is definitely a winner, man. We had a lot of R&B this week. This was not only Brandon's birthday extravaganza, but this is John's R&B's extravaganza.
Christmas in July, man.
I have to say that her range when she sings the "You've Got Blood on Your Hands" is wildly impressive. That was performed very well. I like this.
Yeah, she kills it. I feel like she's been, at least in the mainstream critics, like kind of in the shadow of being one of Ariana's writers, but I think she's really coming into her own as an artist, and this is a great example of that.
Nice. Yeah, this was good, man.
All right. Next up, we got a new one from Little Dragon and Jid called Stay. Have you ever heard of Little Dragon before?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this one's off their latest EP called Opening the Door, which I definitely recommend any of our listeners check out if they like this song. They're a great band, very, what would you say, reminiscent of like the internet, kind of like jazzy R&B.
Something like that. It's kind of a weird, it's kind of a weird crossover that I actually have never really like super enjoyed, but I've never disliked. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very middle of the road music. I think it's hard to feel passionate one way or the other about this. I think it's just
Right.
very vibe based. I mostly threw this one on because of the JID feature, which is why I didn't throw the whole EP on. His new album, maybe my favorite new album this year. And I had to hear his first guest verse since then. And I think he delivered, man. He leaned into that newfound confidence in his singing voice to start it off and then follows it up with some trademark JID flows. It's a great track. What did you think of this one?
Let's see here. Jid with Little Dragon. He collaborated with Imagine Dragons. He better post an Instagram photo like hanging out with a Komodo dragon at some point. I don't know. The song is good.
Dragon Force.
Yeah, bro. I'd go to that fucking tour. Everybody in the
too.
Audience would fucking hate it, but I would really enjoy it.
It'd be incredible.
Damn. Oh, bro. It's a song good. It's not my favorite of either of theirs. Obviously, Jid kills it, but I think at one point we have to put Jid on the pedestal that he has shown that he's able to climb up to, and I think this is one of my least favorite verses of his this year, and that's saying something because it's fucking great. So.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's incredibly fair. I think it can be great and one of his worst. Both things can be true.
Exactly.
All right. Next up, we have a song I don't even have notes on. This is a new one from Absol called Moon Shooter. I threw it on here just because we didn't have a lot of hip hop this week. And I do like Absol, but this did not really do much to kind of reassert his dominance or reestablish him as one of like the better lyricists in the game. I don't think he's released an album in like 6 years. What did you think of this? Did this do anything for you as an Absol fan?
Forgive my ignorance, but I'm not a giant Absol fan. I know who he is, and I know that he's well respected in the hip hop community. But I think when he was experiencing some dominance in the hip hop world, I was experiencing other things. And so, I mean, it's possible if it's been 6 years, but 6 years ago, I was on this just indie forever mix. So.
I would say more like 10 years since his peak. He was more the black hippie like guy before Kendrick. Around Kendrick blowing up is when his best albums came out. His last album was like 15, 16, but I wouldn't say that's his best per se.
For sure. Well, I actually really liked this one, man. I think that the lyricism was good. The flow was great. The verse structure is really great here. I enjoyed this.
Good, man. Good. I think it's a good song. We'll see if he keeps releasing music or if this is just a Lucy. All right, next up we got a new one from D Smoke called El Rey. I like D Smoke. I've heard him rap in Spanish before, but he really takes it to a new level on this one. It's a good song, and I'm glad we got this one because we needed hip hop this week. We were severely lacking, it felt like. So this was a nice one to get. What did you think of it? Were you impressed by the bilingual flow? Bro,
this goes hard. Like, I was very hard, really impressed with this. This is fucking fantastic. I really enjoyed this. I'm practicing my Spanish and I'm trying to understand more of it. I work with a lot of Spanish speakers and I appreciate their ability to be bilingual, and it always makes me jealous that I'm not. So I'm trying to, practice a little bit. I don't understand a lot of this song, but holy shit, do I vibe with it. So
you should play it around them, see if they vibe to it at all.
I might do that.
All right, man. Next up, we got a new one from Magnolia Park called Addison Rae. The fact that I had to Google who Addison Rae is proves I'm a little too old for this.
Yeah, one. I was going to say, are we old?
Yeah, man. I wanted to like it. I like a lot of other songs of theirs, but this one, it's kind of like Bowling for Soup meets Machine Gun Kelly, which might be what they were going for. I just didn't really enjoy it. Also, the album art for this one bugs the fuck out of me because they keep talking about this girl's blonde hair. And every time I look at the fucking picture, I see this pink thing. And I'm just like, I know this is like old man screams at cloud, but it bugs the shit out of me. What are your thoughts on this one?
All right. So obviously I've heard of Magnolia Park. I've listened to a number of their songs. I think we may have covered a couple of theirs also.
Yeah, we might have.
Arpeggiated hi-hats don't really have much of a place in pop punk.
Yeah, they have a little of that pop influence in there.
it's kind of trap influence at this point, right? I mean, it's just this weird kind of dichotomy of we're gonna combine these two worlds while still staying firmly in the other. I don't dislike it, right? The song was fine, right? I mean, it was catchy. I didn't turn it off every time it came on this week, but I don't know. I feel like it's. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that kind of genre blending. You mentioned Machine Gun Kelly, and I've been a staunch defender of Tickets for My Downfall, and even he didn't do that much on this album, on that album rather. There was one song where there was definitely some hip hop or some rap or some trap or whatever the fuck you want to call it, where there was some beats in there, but it didn't. It didn't feel like it was too much because I think it was compartmentalized within the album. I feel like Magnolia Park on a number of their songs, because I actually went and listened to more of their songs after hearing this one, and thinking like, are all of their songs like that? And yeah, their most popular songs kind of combine that element to it, and that's not my thing, but I respect it. So clearly they're doing something right. They're one of the most popular pop punk bands in on Spotify right now. So.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think they've got a great sound. I think Feel Something is a great song, but yeah, this one just wasn't my favorite. I'm still in though. I'm still in on them. I'm still buying season tickets.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I'm not hating at all. I'm just saying it might not be for me totally, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get hit. Maybe I'll get with it,
Maybe you will. Maybe you'll get back on social media and start following Addison Rae on things.
I just became a year older, and God, I'm feeling it.
Man, aren't we all? All right, man. We got a new one from Sleeping with Sirens called Complete Collapse. It is your standard scene band title track. It's good. Not the most exciting song of theirs we've heard during the rollout, but I think we missed like the first song or two during the rollout, so I threw this one on. Probably didn't need to, but what did you think of it anyways?
I liked it, man. It's good. Are we anticipating an album pretty soon?
Yeah, it comes out October 14th, so I probably won't be adding any more singles from this one, but I'm very excited for the album.
Yeah, it's coming together, so we'll see.
All right, last single for the week. We got another new one from Dead to Fall called Rotten Decay. This is metalcore at its best, man. It's incredible. And I actually looked into this release because this past week was the 20th anniversary of their debut album, Everything I Touch Falls to Pieces.
Oh my God.
So they released these 3 songs as a way to celebrate that as like a mini EP pretty much. These tracks were recorded in July and feature members from all 4 albums.
Nice. That's actually really neat. Thank you for
I figured
some context.
Some added context might be nice. We didn't know where these were coming from or what they were leading to. But now that you know this is it, what do you think of these?
This is fucking great, man. I don't understand how people in the metalcore community aren't just freaking out about the fact that Dead to Fall released new music. It feels like
they don't make a big deal about themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's probably it, right? I think I'm always going to go back to their those first 3 albums that they released, and oh man, just great music. Just kind of brings me back,
They are, and if anybody is listening hasn't heard their debut album, Everything I Touch Falls to Pieces, please go back and check that out if you're a metalcore fan. It is essential listening.
It's very, very good.
Very good. All right, man. You ready to move on to the albums?
I'm ready, buddy. Are you?
Let's fucking do it, man. Okay. First up, we have a new one from Death Cab for Cutie called Asphalt Meadows. An album I think is pretty good, but I am interested in hearing your thoughts before I get into mine on it.
All right, so the first song, I Don't Know How I Survive, and Roman Candles kind of start this album off kind of heavy for Death Cab for Cutie, and I fucking loved that. They're great openers on this album, and they kind of create a strong opener. They kind of create this strong environment for the rest of the record, and I think that goes to show that intros and even follow-up tracks can really set the stage for an album. This is classic Death Cab, and it's they kind of settle in by the time we get to Asphalt Metals. and they kind of create their classic sound, and God, they just do it so well, man. The spoken words in Foxglove Through the Clear Cut kind of work a little better in context with the record, but I still don't like it as much as I like the rest of the album. I think it's a great addition to their discography, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Solid closer with I'll Never Give Up on You as well. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I really liked it, and I Don't Know How I Survive is my standout.
Hey man, we're on the exact same page. I've always been a casual fan of theirs at best. We've talked about this a few times. That remains true after listening to this album front to back a few times. Even though I didn't connect with the release enough to get me to like the next level of fandom or understanding with them, I still found a lot I enjoyed on this album. Like you said, the opening track is the type of like back and forth, semi-unpredictable song you love an opener to be. It's really great. I still don't love Roman Candles, but I love the guitars on that track.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Pepper hits some of the like Jack's Mannequin vibes, which I'm always happy to hear.
Yeah, man.
And the closing track is just a nice bluesy closer to the album. But my standout is actually Foxglove Through the Clear Cut, because I was expecting some emo on this album, but I wasn't expecting a pure Midwest emo song like that in the middle of the album. So I appreciated it for just being different. It's a good song. The whole album's good. I give it a 6 as well.
Nice.
Okay, man. Next up, we got a new one from Loveless called End of an Era. We were going to review Muramasa this week, but I found this release and I was just honestly more interested. And I thought this one was a little closer to our tastes. So I made an audible and threw this one on instead. I hope you don't mind.
I did not mind it.
Okay, good.
Tell me about Loveless.
This is another band I found when I made that The Scene Isn't Dead, You Just Grew Out of It playlist. I really enjoyed their 2021 album, Loveless 1, and I didn't know they were following it up so soon, but I'm always happy to see a high output rock band. We need more of those. I thought the album itself was really good. I don't know a ton about them, but the singer has a really good voice. He's capable of blending multiple genres in a way that's just really fun to listen to, honestly. I feel like the standouts on this album are pretty obvious. The intro does a great job setting the tone. It lets you know this is going to be a little more pop than punk, but to expect some surprises, you know? Middle of the Night is the clear single. It's extremely catchy and has one of the best vocal performances on the album. That track has only been out since May and already has 20 million streams on Spotify. So it's clearly resonating with a lot of people. For those people who don't know, we sort all the singles by genre. I sort the albums by monthly listeners of the artist. The fact that they're second this week above The Devil Wears Prada says a lot about how fast this band is growing. Like that's crazy. I don't even know if you knew how I sorted the album.
I didn't actually.
Now you know. There you go. Worst Case Scenario has a lot of There for Tomorrow vibes. Sorry I'm a Downer, that's just sad boy ballad that feels very Red Jumpsuit Apparatus adjacent. Right. I figured If You Have My Voodoo Doll, Give Me a Hug would be like a modern scene rock masterpiece based on the name, but it's much more of a blues rock song with like a pop twist than anything resembling a scene rock masterpiece. It's a good song. It's really catchy, as is most of the album. I don't really enjoy the back half of the album quite as much as the first half, but it's all good. I'll definitely be returning to this. I give this one a 7. My standout is Middle of the Night, but I'm curious to know what you thought of this one.
That was a great review, man, and thank you for enlightening me on how you sort our albums.
About time.
This is emo pop, like, done super well, man. I don't really know how to classify this entire thing. I really liked it, man. I think this was my first. Did we cover Middle of the Night?
No,
we didn't cover any of this, right?
Nope. I didn't know who they were until like 2 weeks ago.
The vocalist clearly has this great passion and like an insane range for a dude in an emo band, you know? And man, this whole record is really produced super well. The Running Up That Hill rework they did is great. Yeah, man, I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 6. My standout is Middle of the Night.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, he has a crazy range. I know that because my voice cracked trying to sing along to it in my car this morning. Have fun picturing that, people. All right. You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Do it.
Oh, God. All right. Next up, we got a new one from the Devil Wears Prada called Color Decay.
Hell yeah, we do.
Good God, man. Talk to me about this record. I love it. I want to know what you love about it, though.
All right, so a lot of purists might think that this is a little bit too soft or too poppy
Fuck
of a
them.
record, but
Fuck
I'm
them.
going to say, fuck that. This is highly entertaining. There are a ton of really neat moments on this record, and in my opinion, it's executed near perfectly. They gave us Z2 last year anyways, and that was heavy as shit, so this is great, man.
Yeah, the album about drug addiction has some really soft parts in it. Really? Yeah, no shit.
Oh man, I really didn't even expect to get such another project so quickly after Z2. So, but here we are. We got half of this album in singles, and that's something that we've talked about. We've lamented about it a couple of times. And it seems like album rollouts are really being catered to streaming, which I can't really blame anybody for, but at the same time, kind of detracts from the excitement rather than adding to it, which I believe is the intended purpose. Regardless of that, it's fucking great, man. This entire album is awesome. The choruses are done so well, and you can tell that I forget his name has just worked on his voice so well. Mike has just worked on his voice so well so that he can perform this record. And God, the verses are done so well. There's a couple of really cool breakdowns. I love the little emotional bits that almost border on post-hardcore, like on the intro of Cancer, which also is a super powerful fucking track and a really solid closer. Overall, man, I really like this record. I gave it an 8, and my standout is Salt because of just how fucking amazing it is. But Cancer's a heart-wrencher, bro.
Cancer is beautiful, and yeah, I agree. Salt is a fantastic song. That should have been the lead single in my opinion.
I totally agree.
We had the same score, but we do not have the same standout, so I'll get to that in a minute. And we'll also get to those breakdowns. I love the fucking Devil Wears Prada so much, man. This album it fucking rules. I love the weird electronic choir thing in the intro. Like when that hit, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is a Devil Wears Prada album." I love
straight back to 08.
Yeah, I was like, "This is some Plaguesy like experimentation." I'm liking it. I love the way Mike's scream changes volumes and intensity like a kid changing a dial at random. Like he's just got this incredible talent of throwing his voice all over the place, seemingly at random. There's still tons of heavy as fuck Devil Wears Prada on here.
Oh, of course.
But I do get it, man. This album feels anchored and driven by the clean vocals. So I see where people are saying that. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. You can tell how personal this album is the closer you listen to it. I'm sure it's about many things, but the main theme I was picking up was battling addiction, the helpless feelings associated with it, and just how devastating it can be to watch yourself decay from that. I've never been a big lyrics guy, but this is one of the few albums that I read every word to as I listened. And I suggest people do the same, although it's not necessary in terms of enjoying the album per se. And that's because despite the weighty themes, this album just fucking rips, dude. Like Exhibition is an incredible intro. Salt is anthemic. Watchtower has the trademark programming flourishes. And it has the I Chose the Distance breakdown, which is just incredible. Noize is a fucking masterpiece. That's my standout. The guitars sound like they were really ripped straight from Define the Great line, and the chorus is perfect. I love that one. And that song has the I Can't Sleep Because the Sky is Falling breakdown. Yeah. It's a perfect track, man. Up there with Spearmint Revolt by Norma Jean in terms of the best metal songs we've heard this year.
I've listened to Spearmint Revolt every day since it's released.
I listen to 94 and Spearmint Revolt at least like those two songs every day. I haven't made it through the whole album quite as much, but those two are heavy in my rotation. Sacrifice, that one's been out for almost a year now, but it still sounds great, and that breakdown at the end is awesome. I love the almost slam poem vocal approach to Time. 25 and Fire felt a little out of place to me on my first few listens, but have grown on me since. And just when I thought I'd heard the heaviest the album had to offer, Hallucinate came on and destroyed me one more time. The 1000 Days, the loop repeats breakdown is just phenomenal, man. This whole album is great. Like I said, I gave it an 8, and Noize is my standout. But your bonus question is, what is your favorite breakdown on the album?
It's definitely Noize.
Okay, so there's Watchtower, I chose The Distance, Noize, I Can't Sleep Because the Sky is Falling,
Yep.
Hallucinate, 1000 Days, the loop repeats. And I'm sure there's others, but those were the three.
I think for me, if I had to rank them, it's Noize, Hallucinate, Watchtower.
I agree.
But Noize, I think, just resonates with me, man.
Yeah. Noize is a fucking banger, man. Song of the Year potential. Great job. Devil Wears Prada's back. Is the Devil Wears Prada back? Are they back?
The Devil Wears Prada is definitely back.
Okay, good, man. Good. I'm going to get a new shirt or something.
It sucks that band tees are all super lame now. There's and the ones that aren't are wildly expensive.
To be fair, the first shirt of theirs I had was incredibly lame. It was like a generic Rise Records shirt that just had the statue from their first album cover on a black screen printed tee. It wasn't that great. I'd kill to have it now, though.
Yeah.
All right, man. You ready to talk Mars Volta?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
Okay.
A lot of people are talking about this one.
Are they? Good.
Yeah.
Good. So they released their new self-titled. You've had a lot of theories cooking. You love your conspiracy theories. Is this album what you thought it was going to be?
John, I've told you on the podcast we're not going to talk about my conspiracy theories. All right. So yes and no. So at first when we heard, I think it was Black Light Shine was the first single, and I was like, they've got to fucking be trolling us or something. Because there was no chaos in this song that I heard at the time. So I had actually listened to this album a number of times. I'm pretty sure this was the second album I listened to on release day. And by the time the reviews started coming out, I had already formulated my thoughts and put them down on paper. But I just kind of wanted to address a couple of things that a lot of other reviewers are talking about. It's not the Mars Volta. We didn't expect an At the Drive-In record, but it's so lame. Or there's a number of people that are saying that it just is too subdued and it just doesn't sound like them. I have to super fucking disagree with a ton of the press on this, because this is absolutely a Mars Volta record and nobody can tell me any different. Yes, it's definitely less chaotic in the madness sort of way. It's definitely less of a post-hardcore prog rocky album for sure. But this time the chaos is in the details, and I think a lot of people that listen to it for the first time and rush to get their reviews out may have missed it. I can't even count how many time signature changes there are. I can't even explain how many times Omar showed his range as a vocalist, not to mention the way he blended all that Spanish in with English so many times. This record is danceable, it's fun, and it's kind of unlike anything they've ever put out, and it's really good, man. The drumming and the vocals are standouts throughout the entire record. I mean, you can look at Vigil, and you can't listen to Vigil and tell me that it's not a fantastic track on this album. There are just really, really good moments on this one. Look, man, everybody might also be missing the fact that I can't imagine how great these softer songs are going to sound as lead-ins to their more chaotic sounds live. Like when they're going to be playing these things live, they're going to blend them together, and it's going to work really well. I get that everybody wants At the Drive-In again. Right? Everybody wants that. Nobody's going to get it, but everybody wants it.
We just got that, 4 years ago?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, people need to just calm down.
The Mars Volta, self-titled, when blended with their other music, will be a hell of a live show. This is a solid entry into their discography. It's not my favorite of theirs, right? I don't think anything that the Mars Volta ever puts out is going to ever eclipse, Deloused in the Comatorium, but Equus 3 is an incredible prog rock.
Equus 3 fucking rules.
Beautiful fucking track, man. It's clear. It's clearly the standout. I gave this a 7. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm not sure, since we've had so much rock this year that's just blown me out of the fucking water, that I'm gonna come be returning to this a lot, but I wanted to address a little bit of the hate that I've been seeing, and I really like this record, dude. It's a really, really good album. What did you think about it?
Fucking tell him, Brandon. You fucking tell him. I thought it was really good. Is Equus 3 your standout?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Oh, fuck yeah. I enjoyed this album, man. It's full of just really good psychedelic indie rock with a Latin flair to it. It's atmospheric. It's got a really nice groove to it. The album itself is paced well and it lets its best moments breathe. As a Mars Volta album, I do agree it's a little weird. It doesn't sound like any of their previous albums. And after looking at the lineup, other than Cedric and Omar, it's a completely new group of guys. But that aside, I found this new album to be very well made. I don't really have a lot of complaints about it. I like all of the songs, and I look forward to revisiting this one a few more times before the end of the year. I don't really have any specific notes on the songs themselves, but my standout is Que Dios, and my favorite run on the album is No Case Game through Equus 3. I think that's really just the peak of what this era is going for. And I agree, man. I think that these songs are going to blend incredibly well into their live set of their past discography, but I got it at a 7. Is that what you had it at?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. We've been pretty much in line this whole episode. But yeah, I have this one in a 7, and Que Dios, I don't even know how to say the rest. Te maldiga mi corazón.
Hey, there you go.
I should not be the singer for the Mars Volta.
Oh man, it's no offense to any of their other members, but everybody knows that the Mars Volta is Omar and Cedric and whoever else. So
yeah, so is every other band in San Diego.
Right. So
all right, man. Let's talk about this new Beths album. They released their new one, Expert in a Dying Field. You showed me them via their title track, I think a few months ago, and I really liked it. But what are your thoughts on this now that we have the full album?
it is so easy to be a fan of the Beths. Like, they make it so easy, man. They have created this kind of little corner of indie and post-punk that they own. They own this sound, man. It not only is this record fun to listen to, but it's incredibly satisfying to do so in like a number of different ways. I did this over the weekend. I listened to this record while I was reading with my wife out on my patio. I actively listened to this record. I listened while doing other things like dishes or working or whatever, you know, and it hits in every scenario, man. It is beautiful, dude. I love this. I I loved their last record, and I'll probably like the next one unless we get like a wild change in sound or whatever, which I highly doubt. It's easy listening, has some fun lyrical content while being more complicated and technically skilled than meets the ear on the first listen. There's so many little details like the vocal flares on Your Side, like the sleek guitar work on I Want to Listen, and the powerful chords on 2 a.m. It's just really great listening, man. I'm a big fan of the Beths. I gave this one an 8. My standout is the title track, Expert in a Dying Field, because that is clearly like the best song on the album, but there's a bunch of album cuts that definitely deserve some recognition there too. What did you think about your first Beths album experience?
I really liked it, man. I really did. Their music just has a lot of heart to it, but it doesn't really take itself too seriously. You know, the songs, they're catchy, but they have substance. And I really like how they're never afraid to just let things go off the rails a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
The vocals on this album are phenomenal, but it's really the instrumentals that stood out to me. They're just an incredibly talented band who are able to add so much personality into everything that they do. Like you said, man, there's not a bad song on here. The album cuts are great. Some of my standouts that we didn't cover as singles, Head in the Clouds, I really enjoyed, and I Told You That I Was Afraid. Those two were great. But my standout is actually Knees Deep. I did enjoy the title track.
It's a good song too, man.
Yeah, I gave this one a 7. So
nice.
I enjoyed it quite a bit, man.
Nice. Yeah, I really liked this, and I'm a fan of the Beths, so.
They are a good band. I look forward to seeing where they go from here.
Me too.
All right, man. You ready to talk about some Klangstof?
My man.
So they released their new album, Godspeed to the Freaks. Incredible album title. Love it. This album is beautiful, as expected. And they've been one of the bands we've bonded over the most these past few years. So I'm excited to break this one down with you. Let's start at the beginning. I love that they chose to open the album with the latest entry in their Death Song series.
Yes.
Death '09 and Death '03 were two of my favorite tracks on their last album. And this one just lived up to my personal expectations for it. I like how it progressively gets more distorted in the second half of the song. And the lyrics on this one are really nice. I want to find myself in the eye of your storm is just beautiful.
Just
great shit.
Beautiful. Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
The way he sings it. Yeah, it's great. I love all of the singles, but now that we've heard all of them, I think Plastic Gun is my favorite of the bunch. They're all great, man. Of the album cuts, I love All of My Reasons Are Distractions. But man, there really isn't a bad song on this album. If you're a Klangstof fan, you're going to love this. If you've never heard of Klangstof, then you need to give this a chance because you're going to love this. It's hard to describe what they sound like to somebody that hasn't heard them, but imagine James Blake singing for Radiohead. Something like that, except cooler. Like, I don't know. It's very weird. Anyways, I love this album. I have it at an 8 or 9. My standout could really be any of the songs that I just mentioned, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to say Death 04 because I love a good intro.
It's James Blake singing for Radiohead presented as an Interpol record.
There you go. That's it.
Oh man, this is how an album rollout should be, bro. 3 singles and then the rest of the music we get to guess about until it comes out. That's beautiful.
Agreed.
Yeah, man. Death 04, which is the latest installment in their Death series, it's subdued yet kind of building, and God, it's so good, man. It doesn't stop getting better. The singles they release are obviously fucking great, but the album cuts are like really accentuate how subtle and masterful this band really can be behind their instruments. The vocals are mixed and produced exactly right, bro. Like, I listened to this entire album a number of times, and once through like, my nice headphones, and the vocals are perfect. Like, they're perfect.
They're
man.
Great. They're fantastic.
Like, you can tell they really took their time with recording, mixing, and mastering on this record. And this record is at its best when it's actively listened to. You sit down with some nice headphones or some nice speakers, and you can hear all the subtleties. And it's honestly, the only adjective I could find was exquisite. The way Devil's Lair kind of just builds is just incredible, man. I'm so happy that you showed me this band back when we were discovering Mind of a Genius Records, and you were like, hey, have you heard this band? And I was like, nope, sure haven't. Now I have. And they fucking rule, dude. Their songwriting and sonic explorations just keep getting better. This is a Brandon's Face podcast moment right now because you are an intro guy and I am a closer guy. My standout is Sylvia, and as a song it's great, but as a closer to this album it's fucking amazing. Did you give it a score?
Yeah. Oh, I said 8 or 9. Yeah,
nice.
It's in that range.
It's a 9.
It's
a 9. It's a great record, bro. It's very good.
Yeah, man, they fucking killed it. It's in my top 5 in terms of rock, indie, whatever you want to say, of the year. It's incredible. I think they delivered on every level imaginable. They continue to do so. I just hope more people start paying attention, especially stateside.
Yes, I super agree, man. They continue to impress me. So,
like I said, this is sorted by monthly listeners, and I'm not saying like the Beths don't deserve to be above them or the Mars Volta. Like it's crazy that Loveless has more listeners than the Mars Volta. Like, that's nuts. But
yeah, it's kind of wild.
Man. Like this should be a monumental release that a lot of the indie world's talking about. Does indie Reddit talk about Klangstof at all?
The Indie Heads Reddit definitely did talk about this on release day, and they talked about every single one of the singles. I think I participated in a number of those conversations, but
not the biggest group.
It's not it's not crazy, man. If anybody who's a fan of like independent music goes to the Indie Heads subreddit, they're going to be very disappointed because it's mainly just mainstream corporate rock. But that's a story for a different day.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap up the albums this week with this new one from Peyote Ugly, Double Vision. You showed me them a while back. I know you're a big fan of theirs, so please talk to me about this new album. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm a big fan of theirs, bro, because they write good music, dude. So this is their debut album. I've been following this band for years, and they put out a couple of EPs, and I've listened to them pretty often ever since my trip to Seattle, where I discovered them. And yeah, man, this is a good lesson in psychedelia. It's not like a master class or anything. I mean, they're still a young band, but they kind of split the difference for me between the psychedelic Porn Crumpets and King Gizzard on like one of their more subdued albums. You kind of get that. You kind of get that combined kind of. This is psychedelic rock, but it's not fucking wild and crazy like the Porn Crumpets do. There are some chaotic moments on some of the like the ends of some of these songs. There are moments of like easiness and earnestness, and there are moments where the riffs just kind of take you off and they kind of lift you up out of wherever you're sitting or standing. And man, I really enjoyed this record. I'll be returning to it, and I'll be returning to this band for a long time. I believe in them, and I hope that people pay attention to them because, damn, man, this is good music, dude. I'm so glad that they finally put out a full record, and I can't wait to buy it from them. My standout was Ripped Apart. I think that is easily the best song on this record, and I'm actually surprised that they didn't put that one out as a single. I gave it a 7. What did you think?
Fuck yeah, man. I also gave it a 7. It was a really busy week in terms of work and music, so I haven't had the chance to listen to this album as much as I'd like to. But I've really enjoyed it the few times I've heard it, and we've covered them a few times on the podcast. I always think that they put out quality music. It's very hard to describe their sound. They blend alternative and blues rock in a way that you just don't hear very often, and this album's a great showcase of that. It's ambitious, but they really never bite off more than they can chew. The opener's great. I love the way the guitars take over that track by the end. The album cuts like Tea Leaves and Spiraling are really good. But like you said, Ripped Apart is probably the best song on here and should have been a single, if not the lead single. I like how they get a little more psychedelic on tracks like Palo Santo. I'll have to come back to this one later, but so far I think it's good, man. I think if I had to pick a standout, though, I'd say Ephemeral. You know I'm a big intro guy.
I know you're a big intro guy.
Back to back. I don't know. Actually, Ripped Apart. Yeah, I'm going to go Ripped Apart on this one.
Ripped Apart's a really good song, man.
It's a second. Yeah, I'm going to go with you on this one. So we're on the same page. 7, Ripped Apart.
There you go. Beautiful. Love
Final answer. Lock it in.
Lock that shit in, man.
All right, you want to know what we're going to be talking about next week, or do you have anything else you want to say about any of these albums?
I'm good, man. This was a great birthday release day for me, so I'm happy with this week. I got a lot of great music.
Dude, man, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of these. I'm looking forward to coming back to some of them already. Next week, we have a pretty slow week. We got a new album from Willow coming out called Coping Mechanism, and a new one from the Wonder Years coming out called The Hum Goes On Forever. Did you want to throw anything else on there? Any classics you want me to visit? I'll give you a birthday request. Any album you want me to listen to. You get to pick.
Dying Fetus, Grotesque Impalement. I'm just kidding. We don't have to do that. Although it's a great album.
Hamilton soundtrack.
No, I'm sure there's some other albums that are coming out or some more releases. And I've got a few in case of slow week break glass playlist. So if we are running low on, or if it's a slow week, then I got something for you. I always got something up my sleeve, John.
Oh, I know you do, buddy. I have about 12 R&B albums ready to go whenever.
I know you do. You do.
So yeah, maybe we'll dig into some of that next week. Maybe we'll get a surprise release this week. Who knows? Thank you all for joining us. We will see you next time. Peace.